Everybody ready? All right, hokahe. Whew. Wow, Tokasha. Oh, Shimala Tokasha. Here we go. I mean, there's the sense that like a mountain is more than just a conglomeration of geological features. You know, I'm not just going out into empty space. There's a personality to each of these places. And there's a spirit to each of these peaks. We have a relationship, and I think perceiving the mountains as entities and beings of their own, like, it makes that even harder. Because it feels like there's someone that you're letting down. And it just makes me wonder, like, what do I owe to them as I'm having that experience? I always have that feeling that like the place is perceiving me as well, and so I want it to know this is what I'm here for. I'm here to make myself better so that I can show up for my family, for my community, for all my relations. Well, beata takea, ay wayero, waka takaya, on shemalaya. Well, beata takea, ay wayero. Mitaka Yasin, all my relations, it's everything. Wazea takea, ay. Everywhere you go when you're skiing up and skiing down, you leave your little trail through the snow. You can feel so small and inconsequential, but then when the day's done, like you've left your little line on it. That snow is gonna melt and become water, and the trees are gonna drink it, the four-leggeds are gonna drink it, the people are gonna drink it, and you've touched all that. And for a moment you can see how you've touched something that's gonna touch everybody else, that's gonna be within all these other beings. That's kinda how Mitaka Yasin works. That feeling of needing to be in reciprocity with the place is something that, like, it haunts me at the end of the day. Especially in a place that isn't the land that I'm from. When I'm up there and I feel my relationship to the place, it's asking me to do something more for the people who belong there. Being Lakota and a skier. If I'm in the mountains, and these are the mountains that the Ute people were so uniquely adapted to be in relationship with, and they're not here now, then where are they? Is there some energy of these people who've spent so long in this place that's wondering, what will you do for me? What will you do for my grandchildren? What will you do to carry on this legacy? If I don't live in good relation with the land, I feel like it just creates like a hurt in me that I can't heal, that creates a divide in me that I can't bridge. That to me is something that like scares me.
And what is the concept? Where did the people come from? About how the evolved.
Yeah, the Utes believe.
Where did the people come from?
Our oral history tells us that we began here in the Rocky Mountains. The story of creation tells us that the Creator put us here in the Rocky Mountains, and that's where we began. For as long as stories are told, and the mountains were all sacred to us, that provided us with food, shelter, water, anything that we needed. Boundaries to the Utes held no meaning. For centuries, they had been able to move across this land without hindrance.
Everything that is here is where my people's spirit is. You can see them. You can only imagine a line of warriors coming through a certain area. And this is their land. This is where they follow the herds, the deer and the elk, bighorn. This is where they did all of that. This is the land that they had to walk away from. The land that they loved so much. It didn't belong to them. They belonged to this land. And they still feel that way today. And that's why the Nooch spirit is in these mountains. September 1st, 1880, the army, the cavalry, came and swept the valley. About 1,500 Utes were escorted from these mountains to Utah. And they walked. And they rode horses. They rode wagons. And they walked straight forward. Because to look back would be shattering. And so we live with that legacy. We live with that memory. But my people still have in their heart where their grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers came from, and where they sometimes would like to come and visit.
Growing up, I didn't even know to call myself Lakota. All the images and ideas of what a Native American is were presented to me in this like past tense.
Sheriff, are you gonna camp these savages with all these settlers?
They're vicious killers, all of them. They ain't even human.
Why don't they stay on the reservation where they belong?
In movies and in magazines, and more people in headdresses and mascots on sports teams, and because I wasn't any of that, I felt like I wasn't myself, like I didn't belong. I felt like I had to give away being Native in order to exist in the world. And that was really tough for me.
Don't you even know how to be a real Indian?
Others come to claim the land.
I guess not.
Growing up was almost kind of like a bipolar sort of experience between like trying to be in that picturesque suburbs, American dream sort of life, and then it would oscillate between things like having to spend like my 16th birthday in a hotel because my stepdad was drinking. We thought he was gonna like kill us or beat us up. And I think that was like really characteristic of where we lived, this need to like pretend everything was normal.
Life in the suburbs. They're glad to be here.
Well, I guess we're just gonna like ignore that we're native because we have to live in like this world now. Because like our grandpa was stolen from the reservation and they cut his hair and changed his name.
Why don't they stay on the reservation where they belong?
A lot of that all just kind of blurred together, and I didn't really have like a way to discern all that back then, and so I kind of just would go to different coping mechanisms. And so for me, one of my biggest coping mechanisms then was to just run.
We're a primitive people.
Life in the suburbs. They're glad to be here.
Buy those baseball gloves.
Don't you even know how to be a real
Colors all
Indian?
are made, even human.
Before I had a cultural connection, before like finding myself in Lakota ways, I didn't have any purpose or direction. I didn't feel like being Lakota and being a skier were two things that really merged. And then that changed for me like once I started showing up in community, going to Sweat Lodge, and especially after doing Hamblechas, traditional Lakota vision quest. That really taught me like, oh, okay, like my purpose is to do something that serves all my relations. But not just my community in the sense of Lakota people, but my community in the sense of like the land that I love and like how I'm connected to that. And it took like having that cultural way of understanding like how I'm related to all those elements of life to get passionate about that and to understand that. As a Lakota person, like I realized, you know, how specifically our ways of life were shaped by the environment that we came from. Because of that, you know, I feel like we're the best stewards of the place that we're from. And so whenever I'm visiting and I'm a guest on someone else's land, I think about that. The Ute were in their own unique landscape in the mountains, and now that I'm here as a skier, like I want to know how to take care of the mountains. In order to really know how to relate to it, like I have a lot to learn.
We are the world that's forgotten. We stand up tall against the other side. We are the nation
think my biggest teacher so far has been learning from the land itself. But the more that I listen to the land, the more it points me to the people.
It's a surreal moment, you know, when you're up there on the mountain and you feel the energies from Creator around. When you know that that water, eventually when it melts, it's going to end up in someone's cup.
Right.
And how do you take care of it? How do you make sure that their water is clean?
Move it, ladies.
Cattle's not really a ute activity. It's something that we were, for lack of a better word, kind of forced into. But our cows wouldn't be able to survive without water either. How many more? Here on the reservation, you may think that water is prevalent, but a lot of the places, they don't have access to water. Everybody hauls water. I know water is alive. I know that water has a spirit, and that, you know, when we're talking about the snow and the snowpack and how much that actually impacts everybody else's water, you know, it's not something that people think about. Seeing where the water is going and having your water being misused or it's being contaminated. It's really hard because we know that that water flows downstream. There's going to be repercussions.
I studied water policy when I was in college, and it's kind of my passion. I've seen the ecology of this area change drastically in my lifetime, and that concerns me, and all of that has to do with water. When I go snowboarding, I think about all of the ecological processes that lined up so perfectly for me to have that POW day.
Yeah.
And then I also think about, like, how does the wax on my snowboard affect the snow? What chemicals do they put in fake snow? Like, all of these cycles are tied together. I think we need to acknowledge and learn from Indigenous people that we're members of an ecological community.
Yeah, it just makes me realize, like, what our responsibility as people is to this place. Like, there's so many lives
Exactly.
that our actions are tied to.
So the year I went through guide school was the year the Gold King mine spill happened. I was running the rafting booth. I was the only one working that day, and I got a phone call about 6 a.m. and they said, "Hey, I'm just gonna let you know you need to get all your boats off the water today. Something is happening." And I watched the entire river turn bright orange.
What appears to be a massive mine spill in southwestern Colorado. 3 million gallons spilled into the Animas River.
Toxic sludge from Colorado's Gold King mine reached New Mexico this weekend. Levels of lead are said to have increased around 3,500 times.
If you live downstream from the Rocky Mountain watersheds, which almost everybody in the United States does, you need to take an interest in what we're doing there to make sure that we don't have another disaster.
When I come out here, I pray, and I pray for, you know, all of the elements. You know, the snow is so important to us. It's not just a recreation area or a time for you to come out and just play in the snow, but coming up here, you actually connect closer to your spirit, your creator. Creators in all of us. You get that feeling of your ancestors are with you as well too.
Being on top of the mountain the other day, and everywhere you look is these peaks that are covered in snow, that's going to give life to so many places, and knowing, like, these places are pristine and beautiful in the way they are because your people took care of them, and now you don't have the same access that everybody else has to that same water that comes from the place you stewarded.
It makes me feel sad sometimes because I know that that water is alive and it's like being misused. To me, when I think about contaminated water, that water's dead. It's no longer alive. When you don't have the capabilities or even an opportunity to protect it, it's also disheartening because you feel it in your heart and your soul as that steward to take care of it and you're not being allowed to. You're not even the afterthought.
Right.
You know, it can be very disheartening.
There's certain actions that we have to take here that like will make life possible in the future. And there's certain actions that if we allow them to happen, will prohibit that. And so long as we live out of balance with that understanding of what it really means to be related to a place, we're going to continue to make life impossible in some of the places we want to live and appreciate the most. And I think Indigenous people should be the ones to lead the way on that. Almost all of skiing happens without any reciprocity. I go there and I mine for the experience. I hunt for the powder line. I cut out everything I don't need. And I ignore so many of the realities of what it really means to interact with this place. The ski industry and the outdoor industry, they need to reconcile with the fact that like this whole industry happens on native land. There are places that have been deeply related to Indigenous people for so long, and there's not blame in that statement, but there is responsibility that's needed on the other side.
It's nice and warm in this little sink.
I know, I was liking hanging out here. It's hard to look around here and like not see something super rad to ski.
Yeah.
I think we could definitely ski this pitch.
Yeah, that pitch seems pretty good. The first time we skied together, it was like 5 minutes in on the skin track, and you started singing.
We are ya day. We are ya way away.
That was the first moment I was like, truly felt like you were on native land. Like, and I'm a guest, not just in the mountains, but of the people that were here. I think that's when I started getting curious. And I don't want to like be just like, cool, because I just ski down mountains, I was given this, and be like kind of an extraction industry and just taking from it. How can I give back? There's just got to be some reciprocity to it.
But there's obviously so many ways for skiers to find ways to give back to these places and to the original people of these places. And once you do that, then you're in that same cycle of reciprocity that we've been in. And I think when you're in these mountains and you feel how you're a part of the relationship to this place, it takes an edge off of the ominous presence of these peaks standing over you, and they start to feel more like relatives and less like monsters.
Still feel like monsters.
Relative monsters.
Relative monsters. We all got that bad uncle, you know? That's that, like, that one slide path, that's that bad uncle.
There's a few bad uncles out that way.
Right, like that class 2 avalanche.
Take me down to higher ground where the rising sun can take me high.
with one chance. You be gon' make it have this last dance. In the trance of things, I'm asked by these massive passive rings in my glass it seems. Doesn't matter to me, doesn't matter to you, doesn't matter, I'm asking the room. Cause for the moment it's yours to be open. I'm in the alone, even with plenty of those in my row full of homies. I never thought that I could get this bad, and if I did, I thought that I could swing another bat and hit a home seat. But ain't no way around it with the ground, I gotta crawl before you walk up that truck and go and put it on me.
I put myself back together like a puzzle piece, reposition to where I really need to be. I believe the times they are actually changing. Innocent young mind showing us how to be brave in these trying times. Got us all hoping for great things. We're all just trying not to cave in, not to cave in. Not to cave in.
Isn't it such an amazement? This goes to those really crazy. How did the days where I would live with the rain streams within that painting? It was the same scene. I would've made it better if I had ever considered moving on. As such a lonely, controlling owner, but man, I'm feeling strong, I guess. But the fact that I'm slowly learning to be more involved is showing me that it's more than a portrait when you witness loss.
So break it down and pick up all the pieces that can create their own sound and capture it, capture it.
What does it mean to you to be a guest on these lands?
I think for both of us, it's an opportunity to plug into being a part of a longer story, because as soon as we come out here, you know, we insert ourselves into the present of this place. And as we point out lines across the way, you know, we start to see ourselves coming into the future of this place. And so if you're going to be in the present and the future, the only good way to know how to do that is by looking back.
Summer, 1879. Forest fires, most of which are caused by lightning, rage throughout the Rockies. Colorado Governor Frederick Pitkin accused the Utes of purposely setting the fires. It's part of a propaganda campaign aimed at removing all of the Utes from Colorado.
The Utes must go. The native people must go. Like they wanted us dead. They wanted us gone.
Prospectors discovered gold in the foothills of the Rockies. Newspapers throughout the region declare this was our land for the taking, and it was time we took it and shoved the Utes out. Many of the miners are gone, but a new type of gold is pulled from the Colorado mountains today. Tourism, a multi-million-dollar-a-year industry in lands once roamed by the Utes.
I don't know, like it's really easy to have a perception of like division within yourself. Skiing is something that a lot of people in my own community perceive as a white thing. I can't hold any guilt or shame in myself anymore, beating myself up about like I don't belong here. It's like, no, like this sport can be something entirely different, and I'm gonna assert myself in this space and say like skiing can be a space for indigenous people to connect with the land and experience the joy with these elements that have always been a part of our cultures. And I'm a native person from the plains and the Black Hills. Like, what about getting someone whose ancestors were here? Like, how are these mountains gonna speak to them after they've spoken to me like this? We're just getting started. And what can the ski community look like, not only when it's come to embrace some of these indigenous values, but when it's come to embrace indigenous people?
I'm excited. I've never been skiing. I think it's gonna be fun though. I have this homie I went to school with, he skis a lot, and he was like, I love the corn today, and he was like, took a picture of the snow. Where's the corn at? It's just snow.
I got some gear for you to rock today.
Dope. Now I feel like a real skier.
Right, bro? You're gonna look the part at least.
Ooh. Man, a lot of people like to ski, huh? I started singing when I was around 6 years old, and I just never stopped. Oh, let me hit the LEDs though. Wait, hold on. Ugh. It's crazy, dude. Oh, dude, I don't even know where my first mic is, but it was so junky, man. Swear to God.
Yeah, my 2 small skis and my duct tape jacket. That's how it started for me.
Secret wind is blowing through the sturdy trees. Oh, dude, that fits so much better. Being in music is like part of the roots of being Native American. It goes back, all the way back.
Oh, for sure.
We were punished for singing songs. We were punished for practicing our tradition and our culture. So I think like it makes me feel good that our ancestors fought so hard for our practices like singing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's easy for me to do that.
Right.
And now I can do it for the ancestors and everybody. All right, this song was my dad gave me, he made this song for me when I was born. So it means a lot to me.
Hey yo, yeah, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo.
Down here, when you're not in the mountains, you just feel a different vibe. Like in the mountains, there's just this sense of something there, you know, something there that's with you. It's good to know that your ancestors were walking right where you are, and you're taking certain trails right where they're walking, keeping our spirits and our ancestors alive and honoring them because we're still doing the same things that they did before, you know what I mean? You feel when you do that stuff, especially up in the mountains.
Pizza or French fries. So that's probably the first way to start. So that's how this is. These are your brakes. You're cruising, man.
Yeah, I'm putting more weight on the insides now. It's easier.
Yeah, see how that helps? So one more time, back up this, and then we'll go jump on this chair.
Okay, here we go.
And that's gonna be some real fun. Ready? Big wedge, and just kind of feel how as you turn your hips, that kind of turns where you're going.
I believe in superstition, I believe in keeping word, I believe in learning lessons. You feel the essence, we sketching this extra thorough.
Alright, look where you're going, look where you're going. Oh, who's this guy? Cruising through. Pretty soon we have to go get on one of those big chairs.
All I need is a beat and dollar tree headphones when we flow, make the fans so proud.
Damn, that is so pretty, bro.
Right? This is the creator made, yeah?
Living wild, I find sometimes it's tough to keep this shit in line. I want to see the finer things in life, to see the honor in the light, to remember younger days, was too scared to live it right. But hey, they say get out how I live, so a calculated risk, I get through the coasts, yeah.
See, that's like when I stand up here, bro, I can just see the people, you know what I mean? Dude. And this is all us, this is all you right here.
That's so cool.
Makes you feel good, man. You can feel the power. You can see the people. You can feel it, And then it just feels connected to my people, like this is my home. I wish I could bring all the family up here, dude, so they could see this.
Yeah.
I bet you my grandma would love this, dude. She loves going to the mountains.
Yeah. The people who set that fire to drive the Utes off of Mullis Pass never thought that Native people would come back up here now and be skiing in this way, doing this just for joy. Those treaties were broken because like they didn't think we had anything to contribute here. After all we've experienced, indigenous joy on the land is radical. To come out here and just experience just that pure sense of love for the land through the sport. Like that's one of the boldest things I can do.
I know when my ancestors see people like me and you up here, they see strength because they know that their people are still here, right here on the same places that we've been for thousands of years.
Right.
So I think they're super, super proud of that.
Yeah.
Singing taught me that when you give those people that have passed on, when you give them the songs, when you sing for them, it helps them go. It helps them get across. It gives them that strength that they need, and it gives everyone around who's still on the earth, it gives them that power that they need to learn to let go. It feels good to sing it right here in my backyard, right here where we were all before. And I hope they appreciate it, because that song is super powerful to me, and it's a way of letting my ancestors know that we're all still here and we're still fighting for what we had before.
It made me tear up there, bro. It doesn't, like, someone just like you has stood right there and sung their song, you know what I mean? And it's like, as long as that keeps happening, like, it doesn't matter whether we're wearing buckskin or Gore-Tex or like whatever, like, that's what counts, is like the souls of the people. Like, that's the victory, because there's so much that we can't undo about the past, but like being able to do things like this, like right now, it's just like, that's what we can do. And I don't know, that's just so huge. And it's like, there's no stopping that. You can't really not live in Mitakuye-Oyasin. Wherever you're at the center. Everything that put you there, everything that got you there, comes from like this really intricate web of relations. No matter what you do, you're always a part of that. But on top of a mountain, there's just this very visceral feeling of connection. 3, 2, 1. You know, if you shout, your voice would go out for all this way in all these directions, and the water you're standing on right there could go to this river basin this way or this river basin that way. The trees, the birds, the animals, all that. As soon as you're here, you're related to them too. If that's something that we can all learn how to do better, we all benefit from it, right? Like, we're all my relations. If you're looking to be a better relative to a place, you've got to understand we don't fight for these places. They aren't sacred to us for some mysterious reason. The reason they're sacred to us is because they give us life. And now that you're here, they give you life too.
Hee-haw!